best late-night conservative talk show in America, Sackheads Radio. And listen, there are no people better on the air to give you the best in conservative talk than Sackhead Sean and Sackhead Clint. And we're working on the immigration papers for a certain other guy who happens to work here, too. For those who are tuning in around the world to the best in late-night conservative talk, Sackheads Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack News. Sack News.
Radio.
Sack.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.
Oh, thank
See,
you.
you were going to
It's very
interrupt
hard
me.
being
I
me.
was giving you props, and you were going to interrupt me and go off on some tangent about your mom or something. I don't
Wow.
know. But you,
Wow. Let me explain myself.
you know,
Okay.
I just gave you props. What are you going to explain?
First off, I'm going to explain how much I love you.
Oh, well, thank you. I love
And
you too.
I have a lot of affection towards you.
Okay,
I hope you accept it.
I do. This isn't
Okay,
weird
good.
yet. Go ahead.
My landlord...
Stop hugging me, Socko.
Okay.
Put your shirt back on.
Well,
Okay, keep it off.
so my landlord asked me to move all of her remodeled stuff that she had in the backyard into the front yard,
Uh-huh.
which is... They're going to come tomorrow to pick up everything.
Okay.
And as I was walking out the door, I was like, oh, that's tomorrow. I should do that right now.
Okay.
And that's why I was late.
So
But I wasn't really late.
Do you pay rent? You pay rent?
I do pay rent.
Do you pay it the same way that Woody Harrelson did in Kingpin?
By check?
No.
And no.
I check. The best part is that actually is a reasonable response in question, but no.
Yeah. Not in this case.
What are you getting at here?
Oh, nothing, little friend. The look on Socko's face right now. I'm excited. Baseball season, well, the season has not started yet.
Right.
However, we had the first couple games,
Right.
and Oakland just completely destroyed the San Francisco Giants.
Which is always nice.
Which is always not. Whether it's, look, And I don't care. I know Giants fans out there, oh, well, it's only, exhibition. But yeah, but our, fifth string still destroyed your fifth string. And that's what's important to me right now, because that's all I have. Literally, that's all I have.
I know, that's all we got.
So I'm taking it.
I'm really excited. The new software. We are test driving that tonight, by the way.
Again. Yeah.
But
didn't we crash the last test drive?
We broke it.
And by we, I mean Sacco.
We broke it. Yeah. No, actually, I think it might have been you and I.
No. It was Sacco. I remember. Listen, we had this talk when you were trying to unlock the gate.
Right.
That wasn't in fact locked.
Hey, listen, it should have been locked.
But it wasn't.
But it wasn't locked.
It was not locked. So we left our pre-production meeting to go grab a quick bite, and we closed the gate to the compound.
Yes.
But we didn't lock it because we have the guard dogs and the booby traps set up on the inner perimeter, and we come back, and the lock is clearly hanging on the gate. Clearly, not even where it should go, but on the gate.
I can't win this argument.
And because you
absolutely,
you own this one.
Yeah.
So Sean puts his key in the lock that is open and on the gate, not on the latch of the gate where it goes to actually secure it, but on the gate itself, at the top, almost eye level.
Lacy.
And he unlocks it while he turns his key. And he stares at it for a good 35 seconds. No, hang on a second. Simmer down over there. So a good 35 seconds he's staring at this lock what happened? How did I turn the key and it miracle itself up here onto the top portion of the gate? And then he hangs his head in defeat and he realizes, it wasn't locked, was it? And I said, no. And he goes, I bet Sacco came. I bet Sacco came,
Blame it on me.
unlocked the gate, put it up to trick you. And by you, I mean us. But I did not have a moment this time. This was you.
In my defense, I'm under a lot of medication tonight.
Yes. Tylenol is very, very harsh.
Dude, it's very, very... It affects me. It affects me. I've been having just angry outlashes, and I've been... Well, what's the word I'm looking for? Me, essentially. I've been me.
Right.
Just with medication that I can blame now.
Right.
So I apologize, Sacco. I didn't mean to blame you.
Yes, you did. Because you laughed and you said, we always blame Sacco, and it's good for him.
It does build character.
It does.
Okay, good.
It does. I'm blaming Sacco for this cold that I've had. And it's settling in my chest.
I wanted to warm you up yesterday.
You guys were the ones snuggling, so, that could be... I'm just throwing out possibilities. Maybe
I feel judgment coming from that side of the studio right now, and I don't appreciate that.
I think it's more jealousy than judgment.
Okay.
But, it'd be nice if I got a call. That's all I'm saying.
Hang on, let's get the important... Sacco, did you bring beer tonight?
I didn't, no.
Go.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, leave.
Leave.
Sorry. I'll go grab the beer now.
We're going to have to stick to the bourbon.
I love this. Just leave. Just go. It's bad enough you didn't start the show on time. At least bring booze the next time you're going to be late.
I thought Jake cleared.
That's our new rule. Hey, our new rule is last person in the studio brings beer.
Yeah, but how are you going to know? We'll all bring beer.
Yeah, well, even better. Hey,
Now, at what time does that start? Because you have to have... Because we will all be here at noon just to stop in for lunch and then leave. So it has to be last person in the studio between the hours of.
Right. Pre-production, which starts at 6 p.m.
Okay.
And 8 p.m.
Okay.
I lose automatically.
Oh, yeah.
Well, hey,
you haven't been...
Yeah.
Looks like I'm bringing beer every
Sacco's
time,
bringing
guys.
beer every night.
That's even better.
Our best shows are when we're drinking.
Well, yeah.
That's not true. We didn't drink at all last week.
No, and I'll tell you what.
Jake needed a drink after the first few minutes with him.
Poor Jake. He was... I don't often feel bad for guests on our show because, listen, you know what you get. You know...
And this was not his first rodeo.
This was not his first rodeo. But between the chat room and us, he was skewered. And I give him credit like I did it last week. He hung in.
Oh, he did. I love Jake.
And I was just shocked that
And for all of our listeners, Jake is a very, very good friend.
he's a one. He really is a great
ours.
guy.
He really is.
Would you
That
say,
was
Sacco?
fun.
I'm pretty sure it was the bourbon keeping him up.
It was. By the end of the show, he was hitting that bottle. Seriously.
Oh gosh! After the first segment, he like hung his head. His shoulders were slumped, and he was like just cradling.
He didn't even go outside. He
The
was just
bottle.
like, I'm just going to sit here. I don't
Oh yeah, no, he just lost. He did. He lost it just right here in front of everybody. It was pretty awesome. I'm not gonna lie. Oh.
Okay, at what point are you guys going to switch back chairs? Because
We'll
this
do
is
it the
really
first
freaking
break.
me out
We'll do
right
it
here.
the first break.
I think you should do it right now.
No, first
Go.
break. No.
Go.
So
I'm not talking.
that's fine.
Even better.
Well, if you're going to whistle, I'm going to talk. You know what that does to me. It's like a snake charmer.
Hey, did you hear what happened in Russia this week?
Yes, I did.
What happened?
You know what happened. Vlad the Putt-Putt had somebody disappear. Well, he didn't have them disappear.
Well,
Well, he might have.
we don't know
We don't know.
for sure.
But it's pretty interesting that his number one challenger ended up getting killed. I love this music.
And it's not the first time.
This isn't even a Russian song, but it sounds so commie that we have to play it.
Oh, so Boris Nemtsov, who's one of his biggest political opponents, he's been very, very outspoken against him. He was going to stage a rally the next couple days after after he was murdered. From doing an interview for like 3 hours, a big interview that
Yep.
was very anti-Putin. He's walking with his girlfriend, and a white car pulled up, and he was shot 4 times.
Did he have a butler?
You think the butler did it?
They may have. I don't know. Did Putin do it? Because Putin came out in a speech and said that basically it was intolerable, right?
Right, this is intolerable.
Yo, this is intolerable.
But I don't think.
But was he talking about the murder, or was he talking about the challenge to
I don't
his
think
authority?
He actually said what was intolerable.
Right.
I just think he said this is intolerable and walked away. That was about it.
Right.
So,
like, was that what was said before the bullets were fired?
this is intolerable, and then game over.
Yeah, I don't know. Can you stop the Volga Boatman, please, from playing in the background?
It's just perfect for that theme.
It is. What scared me, though, is Sacco started flying the red flag.
What's even more odd is he had it in his jacket like that.
What's even more odd than that is he had to take it off of his truck. He's like most people have the big American flag. Sacco has a big Russian flag, big sickle and hammer.
Well, weren't your people like part of the party at some point?
And by your people, he means that in a completely racial thing. Like it is totally.
Armenia was
ethnic.
part of the Soviet Union.
Was it?
Yeah,
Okay.
So are you a commie?
maybe. Do I look like a commie?
You look like a Sasquatch. We've been over this.
Right. I mean,
Right.
you look like you should be walking through Siberia, but for a totally different reason.
Right. Like you look like you may have been the guy in the Bigfoot
Listen,
videos.
I'll tell you this. I was the guy. I was the butler.
He was the butler.
You were the butler.
So you're admitting that Putin put you up to...
I'm just saying I was the butler.
They won't prosecute you from here, Sacco. If you want to own it,
If you're really wondering why I was late,
yeah.
you just had to escape from Russia. But, we
That'd be a
talk-
great movie. Sacco's Escape from Russia.
No, it wouldn't. That movie would suck because it would be Sacco sitting in a train station asking people for money. Like, dude, I don't even know where I am right now. I don't speak. Anyone here speak
And drinking
Armenian?
a beer or a vodka.
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 But
Do you drink vodka?
vodka cranberries.
Huh?
I'm a
Cape
little
Codder. Cape Codder. No, there's nothing wrong with the Cape Codder. Hey, but doesn't this, we talk all the time about Putin and how brazen he is, and, like the Ukraine thing. It was all Russian troops. Everyone knew it was Russian troops, even though nobody wants to admit it.
Well, it wasn't right. They didn't have patches on, so it
Right,
couldn't have been Russian
so it couldn't
troops.
have been Russian troops.
Right.
And then he offs again.
No.
A political. All right.
Maybe.
Possibly offed another political opponent, and still people want to negotiate with him.
Well, we're negotiating with Iran. We got Bergdahl back.
We
just negotiate.
We
That's
used
what we
to
do
negotiate
now.
with North Korea, but they got the nukes, so they didn't need to negotiate anymore. Ken saying that OJ did it. It's possible. The Jews can run.
We don't know. No, he has the runs. He's old now.
He is old.
Yeah, he doesn't. Do you remember the rap artist Oran Juice Jones?
Ran Juice
Yeah,
Jones?
go ahead and bing that real quick. Use your favorite search engine. Do you think OJ were him and OJ the same person?
I don't know.
I bet Ken knows exactly who I'm talking about right now. And not just because he's black. Okay, well, maybe because he's black.
Oh, see, now why'd you have to go there?
Well, because you were sitting there making the boo-boo face.
Was I making boo-boo face?
Yeah, what are you doing right now?
Nothing, why?
I'm just asking because you're staring at a computer screen and you're, drooling a little bit.
Well, it's what I do.
I sent him a nude.
Jesus.
No, it looked nothing like that.
Did it look like Captain Caveman?
Captain Caveman!
Don't do that. Don't.
Yeah, Sako, how dare you do Captain Caveman? That's horrible.
Yeah, that's a horrible impression.
Oh, let's get to the first topic.
Sako doesn't even know who Captain Caveman is. He's so young.
He has to Google it.
Bing. We don't Google on this show. We've been over this, Sean.
Wait. Ken thinks I said the
Yahoo?
Jews are running. I said the juice. The juice. As
Where are
in
the Jews
OJ,
running?
the juice, not the Jews.
Because you would have said the Jews are wandering.
Right.
Right.
The Jews are wandering. Oh, things that always come out of my mouth.
And in. So our first topic today is... It's one of those nights. Can you tell? Thank you. Thank you, Sako, for playing that.
Yeah.
Our first, you already did a pre-first topic. That wasn't even scheduled to be brought up yet.
Yeah, well, that was...
You jumped the gun on. That was under additional, and you just pulled that one right out and slapped it right on top.
Dude, that's how good I am.
No,
I'm
it was
that
amazing.
Good. I am that good.
It was amazing.
I've been in the biz a while.
The biz. The biz. So the ATF is looking to push a new ban on 5.56 ammo.
Yes.
5.56 millimeter ammunition. It is probably the most common round used for sporting and target purposes. Not that is a requirement to exercise your Second Amendment rights. I'm pretty sure, I don't remember in the debates or any of the discussions about the right to keep and bear arms where the founders said it was for sporting or target purposes. I don't recall that provision. Anywhere, anywhere.
No, I think it was... Hold on. No, wasn't it when...
Nope, wasn't that.
How about...
Nope. No, it wasn't there. However, this is kind of the new phrase that's being acceptable or whatnot. So ATF is looking to ban it, and they're looking to ban it on the premise that it's capable of being used in a handgun. So there are some AR-15 platform pistols out there. They're single shot. They're expensive. They run about, anywhere between $1,000 and $1,500. And because that round is capable of being used in a handgun, ATF is looking to regulate it and ban it under federal law, which allows them to do so. The federal framework says that ATF or the Attorney General's office, and he's delegated this authority to ATF.
that's nice of him.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah. Why wouldn't he want to do his job? That they can decide what ammunition is for sporting purposes. And again, I don't recall that being anywhere in any kind of the documents at all. And the way this came about is it's a 1986 act, the Law Enforcement Officers Protection Act, and in the late 70s there started to be some concern from certain law enforcement organizations that, hey, there's ammunition, armor-piercing ammunition is readily available out there, and it's able to pierce ballistic vests. First of all, while I sympathize with that, that's not a reason to ban ammunition. People still have, law enforcement and military should not get preferential treatment when it comes to arms or ammunition. The people are the militia. We've been through this. We've talked about it on the show a bunch of times. It's not only in U.S. code, it's codified in current federal statute, but it's also, historically speaking, the foundational documents support it, that the militia is the people itself. It's us. So that argument aside, they said, listen, this ammunition is capable of piercing soft body armor, and rather than having harsher sentences for criminals that may use that on law enforcement, or even prohibiting, say, convicted felons from possessing that type of ammunition, which is something that would be a more reasonable argument, I think. Hey, you have a felony conviction on your record, or a felony violent conviction, or a felony drug conviction, or whatever it is, you cannot possess a firearm, you cannot possess this type of ammunition, whatever it is. And I know states do that, but how's about attach that type of ammunition to that? Where you do something to get that taken away. Not that you just have your liberties restricted, right? But anyways, they ended up passing this Law Enforcement Officers Protection Act, saying that basically ammunition capable of piercing those vests, capable of piercing armor, is illegal. And there was a lot of debate in this, obviously.
Yeah, it was a mass,
and
pretty mass debate.
One of the senators, who is this, and I'm going to butcher the name, but Senator Moynihan, I don't know.
Moynihan.
Yeah, thanks. He talked about specifically about what the bill was designed, about what the intent of this bill was. And he made it clear that the intent of the bill is what the ammunition was designed to be used in. If the ammunition was designed to be used primarily in a handgun, that's what the bill would affect. If the bill was designed primarily for use in a rifle, it would not. And what he said is, let me make clear what this bill does not do. Our legislation would not limit the availability of standard rifle ammunition with armor-piercing capability. We recognize that soft body armor is not intended to stop high-powered rifle cartridges, which is true. Time and again, Congressman Biaggi and I have stressed that only bullets capable of penetrating body armor and designed to be fired from a handgun would be banned. Rifle ammunition would not be covered. So the bill as it was originally designed, the original intent of this bill was specific for handgun ammunition, and we're not having a debate right now on whether that is reasonable or a good idea or not. That's just what this was originally designed to cover. Well, when this bill passed and was signed into law, the term that ammunition was designed for use in a handgun was not put in. And the term may be used was put in. So again, we're talking, you have the authors talking about, hey, this is what we're intended to do, but the final passage of the bill didn't have designed, it had may be in there, and that's what the ATF is hanging their hat on. Because of this new AR platform pistol, they're saying, well, this ammunition may be used in a handgun, therefore we can regulate it. So they're using a very technical portion of the law, and you can have the argument of whether that law was a good idea to pass or not at the beginning.
Well,
and they're using that standard of maybe because of the AR-15.
Do you remember the Black Talon pistol rounds?
Yes.
And they took them away because they bastardized
California,
them.
Right?
A lot of states did.
Yeah.
They were bastardized as being these horrendous bullets that did like super damage. They were like super bullets when that whole debate went on. I want to say it was mid-'90s, late '90s. And they took them off the market completely. Mm-hmm. They were repackaged and given a different name and a different color and essentially put back on the market. However, this is the same thing that's going on. Let's look at the bigger picture here. A majority of AR-15 rifles, which is the most popular rifle platform for home defense, personal protection inside the home or on your property.
Right.
And then you look at hunting and all that stuff, and it's popular on a large scale. Target shooting as well. But at the end of the day, it's the M16 platform that's been turned into the civilian version, if you will. Don't know why that has to exist that way, but it does, apparently. and it is the most common round used by civilians in a AR-15 platform rifle or an M4, depending on if you live in a good place or not. So what they're essentially doing is finding a way to drive down the ammunition that's available to the average citizen for the most common rifle platform. And one of the most common
No,
rounds,
Sean. No. What they're doing is they're protecting law enforcement officers from armor-piercing projectiles that may be shot out of one pistol that is between $1,000 and $1,200 on the market. That's what they're doing. They're protecting cops, Sean.
and not even a popular pistol.
And you know how many cops?
FN
Do you know how many cops get shot with AR-15 rifle pistols?
It happens all the time. AR-15 shotguns are worse.
AR-15
Don Lemon on CNN was telling me about that.
AR-15 pistols. How many cops have been shot and killed through the vest with one?
Has
of
to be
those things?
1,000 at least.
No, I think 0.
What? That's impossible. They talk about it.
Right. Well, they talk about it as a possibility.
Well, what about,
so they're hiding behind this whole, well, we're just trying to protect cops because they may be shot with one of these single-shot AR-15 pistols.
Well, and here's the funniest...
First of all, if a criminal is going to use that, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I promise to let you get to your point.
No,
This is my segment,
you
is in blue.
don't.
If a criminal is going to use a handgun to attack a cop, it's not going to be a single-shot handgun, probably.
Probably not.
Unless it's at really close range and it's a single-shot
But even
Derringer
still...
muzzle loader. I don't know. But it's not going to be a single-shot pistol.
Or that guy in New Jersey that had the muzzle loader, right?
Right. And if they manipulate the AR-15 style pistol to where it's capable of accepting a magazine, which you can do, then it's illegal anyway.
Right, it's already been outlawed.
Right.
So, and most of them, most people that shoot law enforcement have a tendency to have not been legally possessing that weapon prior to the incident.
Right.
Anyhow, that's a known fact.
And it's not going to be a big... Those guns are big. Like, that is a big handgun.
Dude, it's so stupid.
Because it has, instead of where the shoulder stock would be, it's got the buffer spring tube.
Yeah.
And, that's not a shoulder stock. It's just the buffer spring tube. Okay. Like, I get it. I'm not
It's
saying...
a completely irrational gun to have.
It is, because it's almost the same size as a collapsed,
AR-15.
Yeah.
You could get an AR-15 and chop it down. If you're going to commit an illegal act with it, what difference does it make if it's legal or not?
Right, legal.
You could chop that down in an hour.
You can throw a 10-inch barrel on it, have a collapsed stock on it, and have it be about the same size as an AR pistol. You really could, in a completely legal format in most states except California. It's ridiculous, and that's not what the cops are afraid of getting killed with. Cops are afraid of getting killed with the gun that's hidden somewhere else.
Yeah.
You're going to see that thing come out. There's no way you're going to not see that thing. I mean, the guy's going to reach into the backpack, reach into something, and he's got one shot.
Right.
This is and that's
this one. The guy's going to have to open the case, unlock it. You know.
Right. Is that a rifle? No, it's a pistol. No, it's not.
No, it's a saxophone.
Yeah. So this is my problem. They're hiding behind this whole, well, we're just trying to protect cops. And even the law enforcement response to this has been like, yeah, we're really not getting killed with those. So
let's worry about bigger things.
Let's worry about something
and you know what?
different.
Ken said it best.
No, we said it best.
Well, Ken said it second best.
Okay.
I don't know why you have to be racist.
I don't know why you thought that was a racist comment. I look at him as a human being and just thought we had a better argument.
When he said you let the private sector figure this out, because if it is such a big problem, the private sector is going to start producing vests that'll stop it. It will eventually solve itself. It's not a problem.
And if cops are so worried about it, they can buy a trauma plate to slip into the front vest pocket.
Yeah.
You do not have the authority to close the door on a segment.
I just did, buddy.
No, you didn't, because I'm still talking about it.
Oh, I thought I closed the door.
Oh, you opened it more. That's the problem. You have to close it again. We're up against a break. When we come back, Netanyahu addressed Congress, and some interesting fallout, some interesting reactions from some of the Democrats, particularly our friend Pistol Grip Pelosi and Obama as well. Be back in 3 on the Sackheads Radio Show.
team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean.
That bitch out.
Dude, I'm not
It always fucking throws me off when you're over there.
Sackhead Clint.
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
Also starring Sarko as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here is Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
We're back here on the Sackheads Radio Show on this beautiful March the 4th, 2015. Thank you all so much for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you. Now things are back to normal. Socko's back at the command console.
Now I feel good.
You feel good again, and I appreciate that. You
appreciate that?
I appreciate that very much.
I thought you did. I did too.
Did you show him a picture of your poop?
Yes. So we, it was an amazing week in Washington. Prime Minister D.C.
Okay.
Sorry, I apologize. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu gave his speech to Congress just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and highlighted essentially why the deal that this president and Democrats are trying to cut with Iran is a bad idea. I don't know why we need to consider anything other than not allowing
complete annihilation.
Yeah, I mean seriously,
complete
at this point,
and total annihilation.
You know, I have a couple points that I want to make on this. First of all, Mr. President, if you're listening, and I know you are,
yes.
You at least listen to my phone calls, you weirdo. He's a big fan of green energy, correct? The president is. The party, the Democrats in general, they love green energy. Solar, that they've pushed tremendously, is in a slump right now because it's just not as reliable as people want it to be. And I'm not anti-solar. I'm for anything that you want to put in your house to make your life cheaper long term. If you want to live off the grid and use solar, I'm not against solar as a product. I'm against solar as a movement, but I'm not against it as a product. Iran has a lot of space and a lot of sun. And why isn't he offering solar as an alternative to nuclear if it's so good? And then end this whole argument altogether.
Do you know why?
Why?
Because.
But seriously, if he was like,
there's
hey,
no sun in the Middle East, Sean.
But if he was like, whoa, Iran, hey, listen, we have these solar panels. Trust me, it works. Going to blow away your nuclear program. You won't even need to have a nuclear program. So if we can produce enough energy with solar, will you give up your nuclear program?
No.
Exactly. That's exactly what the answer would be.
And how do you know they already have not had those conversations behind closed doors?
I would not be shocked. But, I mean, it goes to reason. If you really want Iran to not... If Iran is being honest about their intentions for nuclear energy, which they're not. I know they're not. So don't think I'm a fool here, sitting here.
Oh, yeah, nobody thinks you're a fool.
But if that was really their intent, and you could offer them an alternative, hey, you can produce just as much energy with X, Y, and Z. It's quote-unquote safer, blah, 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 blah.
And I think that's a direct quote from the Obama administration.
Then Iran, if that was their true intent, would turn around in a moment and say, yeah, hey, let's go for it.
But we all know it's not their true intent.
It's not their true intent.
So
I wanted to point that out, that why does the Prime Minister of Israel have to come to Washington? Not that I'm saying that he's not welcome. He's certainly welcome.
Invited.
Right. But he had to, in my opinion. He had to come to Washington because
we are insane right now.
We are insane right now. And he would say what a lot of people on the left and the right wouldn't say, and be honest about the Iranian nuclear program and where it's going. And I'll tell you what, there are a lot of people in this country that I've talked to who try to defend the Iranian nuclear program. And I point to North Korea. North Korea started their nuclear program with the idea of energy. And then it turned into bombs. North Korea is not nearly as insane, in my opinion, as the people who lead the Iranian nation.
Oh, yeah, North Korea is not insane at all.
They're insane. Just
they're totally just...
But it's different. It's a different insanity.
It's a different kind of insanity.
I seriously. Okay. They live in a different bubble. It's a bubble nonetheless, but it's a different one. I honestly believe that if little Kim turned around and said to his generals, hey, I want you to bomb America with our nuclear program, or South Korea, whatever, they would show him a video of a city being nuked from like 1942 and be like, here, it's done. Okay, thanks. And go away.
Right. And? But
seriously, I don't think the North Korean military, if push came to shove, would actually do it. I really don't. I think that they would probably at that point stand up. Iran is totally different.
They're short. They are standing up.
You just can't tell.
You just can't tell.
But I truly think that the difference with Iran is Iran's founding documents, and as the Prime Minister will play here if we ever get Sacco back to the board, they want to destroy Israel. As the Prime Minister said, their ideology and ISIS are not all that different. They've said time and again they would destroy any enemies. You have countries like Saudi Arabia who've already said they would allow Israel to fly over their airspace to conduct airstrikes. And they are people that die for their belief in their book, the Quran. And we've talked about this before.
Well, Bibi said it best. He said, in light of the beheadings of American citizens by ISIS and their ever-increasing campaign in the Middle East and in the West, we can't afford to let Iran become a nuclear power. And he's absolutely right.
Right.
Israel can't afford it, but the U.S. can't afford it either.
Not at all. Because you're going to have an arms race that's going to just go crazy in the Middle East.
Right. And look, 55 Democrats failed to attend this speech. Now, I do know at one point that Prime Minister Netanyahu actually specifically thanked Minority Leader Harry Reid for his support and friendship. So that was not. I mean, he gave kind of a little appreciation to the Democrats, or specifically to Harry Reid, who has been a good friend of Israel's. But 55 Democrats in Congress failed to show up for the speech. That is completely ridiculous. And we haven't even gotten to how Nancy Pelosi conducted herself yet. which was
absolute disrespect.
And I don't know
horrible
how,
disrespect.
I don't know how the voters. I mean, I know how the voters in her district don't hold her accountable because they're just as batshit crazy as she is.
Right.
But just the complete. I understand if you do that to a world leader who is like Hitler, right, or Putin, maybe. But if they're invited in to talk to you, which I don't care if she agrees with Boehner or not, the Speaker of the House invited this person in. If Pistol Grip had invited somebody into the House into the House chamber to speak or into Congress to speak, and they did, I wouldn't expect the Republicans to turn their backs on them or to make
at all
or to make boo-boo faces while they're talking.
And I bet you those 60 Republicans or 55 Democrats, sorry, if Putin was invited to speak, or if the Iranian president, de facto president, but the Iranian president,
right,
they would all be there standing up. Oh, we have to show our solidarity.
Or Little Kim.
It's another world leader. We must respect him.
Right.
Oh, yeah? What about one of our greatest ally, the only stable country in the region, the people we turn to, and not for nothing, but the people who keep that region lid, as much of a lid as you can keep on it. You know, it's definitely...
Because they're badass and nobody wants to screw with them.
Right. Well, when you have a prime minister who is special forces and has been shot for his country and fought for his country, and then after that he went and got 2 degrees over at Harvard and MIT.
Yeah.
He's one of the most successful politicians ever. Yeah. Who's going to screw with him and their military in general?
Right. And that's kind of my point. Israel is very strong, and they're very strong on their own, but they're even stronger with us, and we owe them that support. Anyways, we have audio from Netanyahu's speech. Let's go ahead and play the first cut.
Some of what the president has done for Israel might never be known because it touches on some of the most sensitive and strategic issues that arise between an American president and an Israeli prime minister. But I know it, and I will always be grateful to President Obama for that support. I'm standing here in Washington, D.C., and the difference is so stark. America's founding document promises life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Iran's founding document pledges death, tyranny, and the pursuit of jihad. Iran and ISIS are competing for the crown of militant Islam. One calls itself the Islamic Republic. The other calls itself the Islamic State. Both want to impose a militant Islamic empire, first on the region and then on the entire world. They just disagree among themselves who will be the ruler of that empire. In this deadly game of thrones, there's no place for America or for Israel. Israel's neighbors, Iran's neighbors, know that Iran will become even more aggressive and sponsor even more terrorism when its economy is unshackled and it's been given a clear path to the bomb. And many of these neighbors say they'll respond by racing to get nuclear weapons of their own. We don't have to gamble with our future and with our children's future. The world should demand that Iran do 3 things. First, stop its aggression against its neighbors in the Middle East. Second, stop supporting terrorism around the world. And third, stop threatening to annihilate my country, Israel, the one and only Jewish state. With us today is Holocaust survivor and Nobel Prize winner, Elie Wiesel. And I wish I could promise you, Elie, that the lessons of history have been learned. I can only urge the leaders of the world not to repeat the mistakes of the past. Even if Israel has to stand alone, Israel will stand. But I know that Israel does not stand alone. I know that America stands with Israel. I know that you stand with Israel. May Israel and America always stand together, strong and resolute. May we neither fear nor dread the challenges ahead. May we face the future with confidence, strength, and hope. May God bless the state of Israel, and may God bless the United States of America.
God, he's so divisive.
Yeah, he doesn't. he is so.
It's so nice to see a statesman in Washington, isn't it? Even if it's not one of our own, it's just nice to see somebody who's an actual leader.
Yeah.
You know, a couple things that I wanted to point out. The three things, and he kind of says, hey, you know what? Before we even talk about giving them a nuclear program, let's get them to stop, Iran to stop doing three things. Stop the aggression in the region, stop sponsoring terror throughout the world,
and stop drinking alcohol.
Start drinking alcohol. That's number 4.
Okay.
Stop threatening Israel. I think that's pretty reasonable.
Listen, that is so hateful. That is so hateful.
You know, his entire speech was amazing. He's an amazing individual. We've talked about it before. I am a humongous fan of Prime Minister Netanyahu. I think he is a brilliant man. I think he is a man that mainstream media in this country and the left demonizes as some sort of bizarre hate monger. And he is, as we don't understand in this country, he is fighting literally for the survival of his nation. Once again, the vast majority of Jews in a country are under threat of annihilation by another insane leader. And we are not learning lessons of history. We are not looking back. We are not giving them the opportunity to defend themselves. And look at, you had the idiot representative out of Washington, I forget his name, turn around and say...
Obama?
No, different. No, Washington State, different idiot.
Oh, okay.
Turn around and say, well, you know, this whole speech, all he's doing is trying to scare people. It's a typical speech, pattern, try to get people rallied around you. Yes, he's trying to scare people to reality. This is the reality they live. This is the reality they have to deal with. They are scared if Iran gets the bomb for a reason. Also, I also think that's a nice touch that he does. He calls it the bomb versus nuclear weapons. Because when you gussy things up, it loses its impact. But when you call it the bomb, there's no question as to what you're talking about.
Right.
But yes, that's exactly what he's trying to do. He's trying to get some damn common sense into the heads of this nation of, hey, we're your number one ally, and we are on the cusp of potential annihilation if Iran gets the bomb. Get your friggin' head out of the sand and start.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, you see? You like that?
I see what you did there with
yeah,
the whole
that was
sand
pretty
reference.
Good. Not too bad.
That was really good.
And really bring forth the reality of the situation. Understand, these are insane people that run this country. They want us, they are willing to die from their book, as I said earlier, to annihilate us in the process. Do not entertain the fact that they deserve the bomb in any way, shape, or form.
I'm sure the president completely agreed with everything he said. I'm sure the president was on board and said, "Hey, I'm really sorry that I missed this. I really had a tea time that I couldn't miss. Not tea in the British sense, but in the Gulf sense." Saka, do you have the audio for President Obama?
Yes, you do.
I did not have a chance to watch Prime Minister Netanyahu's speech. I was on a video conference with our European partners with respect to Ukraine. I did have a chance to take a look at the transcript, and as far as I can tell, there was nothing new. The Prime Minister, I think, appropriately pointed out that the bond between the United States and America is unbreakable, and on that point I thoroughly agree. But on the core issue, which is how do we prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, which would make it far more dangerous and would give it scope for even greater action in the region, the Prime Minister didn't offer any viable alternatives. Now, the deal that we are trying to negotiate, that is not yet completed, would cut off the different pathways for Iran to advance its nuclear capabilities. It would roll back some elements of its program. Now, the alternative that the Prime Minister offers is no deal, in which case Iran will immediately begin once again pursuing its nuclear program, accelerate its nuclear program, without us having any insight into what they're doing. But when it comes to this nuclear deal, let's wait until there's actually a deal on the table that Iran has agreed to, at which point everybody can evaluate it. We don't have to speculate. And what I can guarantee is that if it's a deal I've signed off on, I will be able to prove that it is the best way for us to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
First of all, he talks about alternatives.
Well, I didn't have a chance to see it, but I read the transcript.
You have to pass it before you know what's in it. You have a leader of one of our greatest allies, and he said he was on some video conference call. You have the leader of our greatest ally nation in Washington. You're not going to go because you're going to pound your feet and be upset. Oh, boo-hoo, they didn't ask my permission, which they let you know.
Right, they don't have to ask your permission.
Right.
They're its own independent branch of government.
I know you think, sire, they need to gain your permission before they hold court with other jesters, but reality is they didn't.
No.
Okay, great. So then he goes to alternatives. Well, it was the same old, same old. I agree that the Prime Minister, our relationship's never been stronger. He was being a gentleman. He didn't want to say, hey, I'm in your Congress and I'm going to slam the White House while I'm here. That's not what I'm here to do. And he said that. So he was being a gentleman. And then he gets into alternatives. We have to offer alternatives. If we don't have alternatives, they're just going to make the nuke anyways. First of all, we don't have to alternatives.
No.
Why do we have to offer alternatives?
We don't.
It's not a negotiation.
Iran needs this deal a hell of a lot more than we do.
Yes. Doesn't he know anything about bargaining?
No.
And on what level does he think, on any way, shape, or form, that an alternative can be reached? And that you believe them with an alternative? We're finding now hidden nuclear facilities in Iran that we were lucky enough to come across that we didn't know existed. This was last week. In the past with nuclear programs, same thing with Iraq and the weapons inspectors. They get to a point where they can turn around and say, the weapon inspectors can't enforce anything. And Iran can turn around and say, yeah, we're shutting the cameras off and you guys get out.
Or we're going to kill you.
Well, I'm a weapon inspector from the IAEA. Yeah, go pound sand. Screw.
There's a whole bunch of it right out there you can go pound.
Right.
Here's
Seriously, we're surrounded by it.
Right. Just go find some sand somewhere.
Get a huge pair of gloves.
Yeah, and just pound away.
If you see like the Incredible Hulk gloves, get those. But at the end of the day, why are we negotiating with a state that sponsors more terror than any other state in the world? Why are we negotiating?
California?
I'm sorry, number 2, Iran.
Okay, sorry. You confused me.
I didn't
when you
mean
said
to.
State.
Listen, the UN weapon inspectors, the same thing happened with Iraq, the same thing happened with North Korea. They're going to be shown what Iran wants to show them.
No.
I don't even know. Listen, if I thought that this was some great, and I say this again, and I know it's not true, if I thought this was some great scheme to keep them at bay, and he really had something good ready to go, I'd be a little bit more confident. If he was a real leader, then I think the world would have more confidence in his alternatives. But the problem is he's never had an alternative to anything but giving in.
Well, right. And Netanyahu even asked, he said, why would anyone make this deal? Because they hope that Iran will change for the better in the coming years? Or they believe that the alternative to this deal is worse? No.
All of a sudden, the abusive husband's going to be nice?
Right. Iran's not going to ever change for the better. I mean, they've had this ideology for ever.
Right, as a religion forever, as a state in Iran since the late 70s.
And what's the alternative to the deal? The alternative to the deal is not worse than no deal at all. And even if there's a deal, is Iran going to stick with it?
No.
Of course not.
No. They've never followed through with anything.
Well, except for their promise to try and get a weapon.
Right. It's weird how they keep trying to grow their ICBMs.
Right.
They keep coming up with new and exciting ICBMs that they're trying to make go longer and longer. And in a few years, it's proven that they're going to be able to reach the coast of this country if they're allowed to continue. Now with Russia, and here's the other thing, folks, with Russia essentially secluding themselves to a few of their allies, who are they going to trade with and sell things to? Iran, and they'll sell anything to Iran for money. So ICBM they would be able to get essentially what Russia had. The same thing we do with the Patriot missiles to all these countries to defend from it. They're not seeking ICBM improvements to send over lovegrams or Instagrams
Care
or whatever the hell. Care packages.
How do you know?
Wouldn't that be awesome? I wish I was wrong. You know what? I wish I was wrong. I wish Iran would fire an ICBM
full of care packages.
Full of care packages like
Teddy
chocolates,
bears.
teddy bears. I wish I was wrong.
Gold.
But reality is what it is.
Right.
They're not.
No.
Everything they're doing is pointing to a nuclear
So why
weapon.
why don't they buy nuclear weapons from Russia?
Because Russia doesn't want to give up any. They lost a lot when the Soviet Union fell apart.
Where'd they go?
Well, nobody seems to know that. I mean, they just kind of showed up in suitcases. And we listen, that's something we forget about in this country, too. There's a whole bunch of nuclear weapons.
How do we know Iran doesn't already have some?
Well, that's true. It's very, very true. We don't know where they are. I know some of them ended up in North Korea, or at least the technology did, which is how they produced theirs.
And maybe that's how Iran is able to produce theirs.
Exactly. And it's definitely one of those conundrums that I just can't figure out in my head, that the president wants to give alternatives to people that want to annihilate our greatest ally.
And Netanyahu asked for more economic sanctions. And why? What does the left, and not all of the Democrats, look, there are a significant portion of Democrats who are supportive of Israel as well. I believe the latest numbers were over 50%. I don't have them right in front of me, but I think I'm recalling that. It's like 77% of conservative Republicans support Israel, and I thought it was 56% of Democrats. But again, I could be wrong on that Democrat number. But why does this administration not want sanctions?
That'll be bad.
Didn't Obama, and somebody fact check me, because again, I could be wrong on this. I'm not wrong very often, but I might be. Did Obama say somewhere in Audacity of Hope, if I'm recalling this right, that if it came down to it, he would side with the Muslims?
Yeah.
Am I recalling
I
that
stand
correctly?
with you. Remember when he was in Egypt?
Yeah, I remember when he said, "I stand with you," but I thought he wrote it.
No, he wrote it. I think it was Audacity of Hope that if the political winds change, I will stand with the Muslim.
Something to that effect, right? Am I recalling that right?
I believe you're 100% right. Agador's in the chat room, and I bet you, yeah, he says that too, and I'll trust him on that as well. So, yeah, no, I don't understand. Listen, even if I'm Obama, say he is a Muslim or a Muslim.
I don't care.
Sympathetic.
If he is, whatever. But if he's sympathetic to these countries over Israel,
right,
that's
exactly.
problematic.
Right. If he was just a whatever. But my reasoning, my thought process on this is, okay, so say he was. He still can't be dumb enough to think that if Iran gets the bomb, they wouldn't use it. You just can't be that dumb and be the leader of the free world. It's sad. It's pathetic. And I know he knows they would use it. But for whatever reason, this international buddy, this world without borders, this insanity of everyone's equal and everyone deserves their fair share. Let's give ISIS friggin' jobs and they'll stop trying to kill us. Let's give Iran a bomb and they'll all of a sudden be players in the international community. This thought process is so, to use his term, bankrupt and devoid of any reason.
Yeah. Okay.
It's upsetting.
Okay, I found it. Page 261, supposedly, from the paperback edition of the Audacity of Hope. I will stand with the Muslims should the political winds shift in an ugly direction. Well, what's an ugly direction? Is it Iran getting a nuke? Is it Israel threatening to take action against Iran because they're developing nuclear weapons?
Right. Right, and that's merely that's a judgment call at that point. And you know, a couple, you know, your 77% of conservatives that you said earlier, shame on the ones that don't stand with Israel.
Right.
Shame on you. Because you know what? That could very well be us one day, and that's our ally. That's one of the closest things we have as a brother. And shame on you. I understand the Democrats because they're progressive idiots and loons. I totally understand why they stand against Israel. But if you're a conservative and you don't stand with the state of Israel and the people of Israel and the Jewish people around the world, you are a mockery of the rest of us. You are disgusting, and you're a horrible human being, in my opinion.
I agree.
I could
We're
go
up
all
against
night
a
about
break.
this. When we come back, Boehner goes soft on DHS funding fight. And Hillary, we found out that maybe she wasn't using the email she was supposed to be using. All that and more here in 3 on the Sackheads Radio Show.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. That you didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying cow for the stupid program.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific from me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to The Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
And welcome back here to the Sackheads Radio Show. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. I had to have a relaxing moment outside because I get totally infuriated.
I can use one right now.
I know, right? Anywho, so an amazing thing happened, and I'm so glad the real John Boehner stood up this week. It's nice to see him be the person he truly is versus the person he's been acting like the last few months.
Yeah. So we thought he had a backbone there for like a week.
We didn't think.
Or so. But Boehner got soft. And I hate it when that happens.
The Viagra ran out.
I hate it when that happens. The House voted. The final vote was 257 to 167 for funding Homeland Security Department with no immigration provisions. Clean bill. So he talked a good game for a little while. Oh, no, there's no deal. We did our part. It's up to the Senate now. Well, jackass, you didn't do your part because you got weak.
Isn't that sad? Listen, we warned about this. We warned about this in November. Everyone in our chat room warned about this. We warned about this.
Yeah.
You have to legislate. You have to legislate. Ken was talking about it on his show. The DHS shutdown. Guess what? It would have done the same thing it did a year ago when we had the government shut down. Nothing. It would have done nothing.
But listen, Boehner is outraged and frustrated. That's his quote. I am as outraged and frustrated as you at the lawless and unconstitutional actions of this president. Really? Then do something about it. You had an opportunity. So funding runs out because the Senate can't get their crap together.
Right.
Okay.
Get your poop in a group.
That's how it goes. Figure it out. Figure it out.
It's legislation 101.
Right? You're not...
And you're a full-time Congress. It's not like you're there for 3 months out of the year.
Right.
Figure it out.
Yes.
This is what you do full-time.
Yes.
Supposedly. Supposedly. Right. Instead of walking on the Israeli prime minister, you guys could figure out how to do that together, huh?
Well, 55 of them.
It's still something. They at least did it together. This is just an embarrassment.
There were only 75 Republicans that voted for it. 182 Democrats, 75 Republicans. So, Boehner, you brought a bill to the floor that most of the Democrats agreed with, and just 75 of the Republicans. Is that problematic? I mean, does that say something?
You had 75 people from the party agree, and the remainder say go grab
Pound
the whole
sand.
gloves and pound sand.
Right.
Go Boehner yourself, essentially.
Yeah. Like 160
plus.
3
or 4 or something like that.
7. So, I want to know if this is going to set up a fight within the Republican Party.
Yes.
Because it should. Boehner was already... There was talk about him losing his speakership before.
And everyone caved.
Well, not everyone.
Well, not everyone, but a majority caved. And, again, when he sent it, the best part is when he sent it over the Senate, we did our job, now do theirs. He was tough talking. Mitch McConnell and the Republicans in the Senate.
Right.
You guys need to do this. So the Senate sends it back. Oh, okay. Well, we'll pass this too. Whoa, we really like you guys over there. And what did they get a hold of his tanning fluid? Did they hold it hostage? I don't understand what the hell happened.
I don't know, but so the speaker can be ousted. Remember they tried it against Newt Gingrich.
Yes.
96-ish.
Yeah.
Right.
96,
and
97.
it failed.
Yep.
It failed, but I don't think a Speaker of the House ever has been successfully ousted. I don't think. And
let's test this for the impeachment.
Look, you can. Any member of Congress can bring a special bill up that even the Speaker can't stop and try and get this through. And I'm curious if the conservatives within... This is a broken campaign promise.
Huge broken.
Right? People
Humongous.
sent the Republicans, had just a huge victory in this last election cycle. And Americans trusted them to go do a job, to stop this lawless president. And they had an opportunity to do that and to keep that promise, and they failed.
It's just pathetic. At the end of the day, it's just pathetic. And I don't it's infuriating to me to think that he let this go.
So who would the next speaker be?
Gowdy.
I wish.
Gowdy.
I wish. I want to see Gowdy.
Here's my answers for so many things right now.
He is.
Just Gowdy. I think that should be like a code word for a passage on something.
By the way, I just saw something, and I want to get it. It goes back to the last segment. So I'm
Ooh, Gomert. I like Gomert too.
I'm gonna jump back. Fox News poll just got released, and 65% of Americans say we should use force to stop Iran. 84% call a deal with Iran a bad idea.
No kidding.
Fox News poll.
Granted,
Fox News poll, but
it's like
84%.
Saturday Night Live bad idea jeans. Of course it's a bad idea.
Right. Right. But I thought that was interesting. So I wanted to bring that out to our listeners right here. Anyways, I'm curious to see if they're actually going to recall the speaker. I think they should.
I would love.
I think Boehner's going to hurt. I think Boehner's going to hurt the party because they keep doing this crap, this garbage.
Well, this is what gets us destroyed.
How are they going to campaign in 2016?
Right. This gets us destroyed come 2016 when we're trying to get the executive, the House, and the Senate. That should be your goal. Now, granted, we've said before, it's scary when one party controls all three. Look at Obamacare. However, if I am a Republican strategist, if I am the Republicans in general, if I ran on this, I'm trying to save my seat. If I am running against a Democrat, I need to campaign against them and broaden my base and get my base fired up. How do you do any of that when the speaker sold you out? How do you do it? You don't do it. It destroys you. He essentially, mark my words, we will lose the Senate in 2016. Mark my words, because of this.
Right. Or the House.
We could lose both. And if you're one of the groups that voted with him, take note of Republicans that voted with him on this in the House and the Senate.
Yep.
Take note.
Look, I think the Republicans can potentially save it if they elect a new speaker. If they oust Boehner and get a new speaker in there who's actually going to stand up and do what the electorate, what the public sent them there to do. Because they're not. They have not delivered on anything.
No,
they have caved on everything. And the Senate was unable to even get a vote to override Obama's Keystone veto. Yes. They couldn't get the votes in.
Well, look at what happens when you have McConnell in there. Everyone knows McConnell's a shill.
Well, yeah, at least they brought it up, but they didn't.
Yeah, but he didn't have the stones to push through this bill.
They couldn't get the votes, and he didn't have the stones to push through this bill. Oh, the Democrats were blocking it. Well, then the pressure's on them.
Exactly. You put them on record. You put them on record one way or the other. That's the point sometimes of these votes. Yeah, you're trying to pass legislation, but the other thing you need to do is put the people on record, just like Obama now is on record for vetoing Keystone. That's a big deal. I will give you that. You now know exactly where he stands on it, and you can run against that. However, and I'd like to remind everyone, too, just Keystone real quick. Remember when everyone thought the Alaskan pipeline would destroy Mother Nature and Alaska would be just a giant oil pit within 10 or 15 years? And
it totally happened, remember?
Right, that totally happened,
yeah,
too.
There's no beautiful part of Alaska left.
Let's keep putting oil on trains and have them derail instead of just putting it through a safe pipe. But that's neither here nor there. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah, we're just going to keep letting trains crash, and because it's more harmful to the environment. I mean, because we love the environment.
Right. Because we don't know what we want. We just hate oil in general, so we don't care what the
oil's
safe
bad.
Right, whatever the argument is, we're just going to do everything we can to stand against it.
I want to know this. If oil is so bad, why did Mother Nature create it?
Well, she was having a bad day.
Why do they hate Mother Nature? It's what? You can't whisper that into a microphone, and you just double fist bumped yourself in the air for that.
That's how the Democrats look at it. I won't say it. You know what? I want everyone to go back to that 13-second clip and try to listen to it over and over and over and figure out what I said. Hey, you know what? For once in my life, I had a mute button.
You essentially just said Mother Nature's some broad. Oh, God.
New York Times reported Monday night that during her tenure at the State Department, Hillary Clinton never used her official email account to conduct communications, relying, as it were, instead on a private email account.
That's not problematic.
The Times noted official accounts are automatically retained under the Federal Records Act, meaning that none of Clinton's email communication was preserved. The report goes on to say, March 2013, advisor to Clinton, Sidney Blumenthal, had his email hacked by Guccifer, a Romanian hacker, or Guccifer, I don't know, perhaps best known for revealing George Bush's painting to the world, George W. Bush. At the time, Gawker reported that Blumenthal was communicating with an account that appeared to belong to Clinton at the clintonemail.com domain. The content of those emails were published by RT. Oh.
So the House Select Committee, who's investigating Benghazi, is the one who discovered these accounts. And you just read the article. That article is from New York Times, correct? Yeah. And Clinton didn't even have an email address from the government. And she served from 2009 to 2013.
How do you not have that email?
Well, because, Sean, you have a personal one.
Safety, security, all that other stuff that goes into it. Screw that. I want to push my domain, clintonemail.com.
Right, and the problem is the Federal Records Act requires her correspondence to be maintained.
Right, classified documents and information.
Just all of her correspondence.
Right, but specifically
related to her official contact.
Her official duties.
And aides did not preserve those emails.
Well, maybe because she knew that under the Freedom of Information Act, her emails could at some point be revealed to public, and that could hurt her election run.
Right, potentially. And instead of having just everything kind of turned over, which there were, I guess you could have done, there were aides actually specifically going through and figuring out which emails are going to be turned over to the State Department for archive and which ones were not.
Huh. Well, it's kind of a couple things funny with this. First of all, you remember General Petraeus?
He just pled guilty, right?
Yeah, director of the CIA. That was essentially
pled guilty. Was going to plead guilty.
I think he pled.
Okay.
That essentially
had a mistress. I mean, a biographer.
Had a biographer.
Right.
Okay. But when it came to Benghazi, he was the one who didn't want the talking notes changed. He was the one that in my opinion, they feel that was going to go completely
rogue.
So
off the reservation.
They did exactly what the Democrats do. They turned around and destroyed his character as quickly as they possibly could.
And charged him.
Charged him, right, to further destroy it. Listen, it's not like they didn't know he had a mistress. He was the head of the CIA and monitored 24/7 by other agencies. We know they knew. But it wasn't convenient to use that against him until he started to go rogue with Benghazi. And now, and I've said this before, how much of his, and I'm going to bring it back to Clinton in a minute, how much of what he knows can he not say because he will violate his confidentiality and be possibly prosecuted so he can't even defend himself or go out and say what he really knows because he's up against the wall. They have him. They're prosecuting him already. Imagine if he came out and tried to be honest and, oh no, confidentiality agreement, you said X, Y, and Z, you're doing 30 years in prison, or treason, or whatever. So they did exactly what they wanted to do to Petraeus. Will they do the same to Hillary Clinton? Because she, even if it's not the military aspect, but she does sign certain confidentiality aspects, and part of that is using the security email with the federal government, I understand, to make sure that it is coded and encoded appropriately so information is not stolen. And I wonder if they're going to treat Hillary the same way.
Of course not.
Why?
Because they want her to run for president in 2016.
Well, no, they don't want her. I've decided they don't want Hillary.
Well, then maybe they're going to throw her to the wolves.
Right. So this is going to be interesting to see how this pans out.
Maybe
I think they want Warren.
To them, but maybe they're going to give everything to the Benghazi committee.
Yeah. I think they're going to now. I truly think as time has gone on, you're seeing more and more Democrats step away from Hillary. I don't think they want Hillary, even though she has the most potential to win, and she does for the Democrats, whether you like it or not. She's the front runner, and because I'll tell you right now, there are women all over the world, or all over the country and world, dead or alive in the Democrats' case, who would vote for her
Legal or illegal.
Legal or illegal. Live or dead, alien or not, and I don't even mean from Mexico, who would vote for her just because she is a female. The same reason that a lot of people actually voted for Barack Obama. It had nothing to do with his policies or anything. They wanted to be, and I know people like this. They wanted to be involved in that one vote that elected the first black president. His policies mean nothing. Same thing with Hillary. But I think that she isn't controllable and progressive enough for the Democrats. She's progressive, don't get me wrong. But I think they also know that the Benghazi thing is going to hang her. I think they know that, and I have a bet with my friend Blaine for lunch for a week. He says that they won't be able to touch her, and he's a conservative. And I say that Trey's going to rip her apart, and absolutely, it could turn in charges. Charges may come out of this at some point. And she's destroyed because they want Elizabeth
Who's
Warren.
going to prosecute it, though? Not the Justice Department.
It depends on how Trey Gowdy hands it to them. At the end of the day, you have a man who is an amazing federal prosecutor, never lost a case. Quote me if I'm wrong. Correct me if I'm wrong. Hand them a file that they won't have a choice.
Quote you if you were wrong.
Quote me if I'm wrong. Anyhow, it's funny. Damn it!
I'm going to quote you on that. Quote me if I'm wrong. But
hey, I want you to all quote me if I'm wrong. 2-2's 5, and that's cool. If he prepares that to the point that they have no choice to prosecute her, they're going to look like idiots. They're going to have to prosecute.
they look like idiots anyways.
Yeah,
They don't
but
care.
But this would be so major that they couldn't duck it.
I think they would duck.
Duck and cover.
Yeah.
So it's scary to me. And then you look at what happened with Lois Lerner, with her emails being recovered all of a sudden, it's staying in the email realm, and her email saying nobody would ever believe that our two sets of emails would disappear, blah blah blah, within a few days of each other, etc.,
Right.
etc.
Right.
Oh, they can't recover these. Oh, ha ha ha! Those morons. Blah 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 blah. And then to find out, and this tells you, folks, if you don't look at all the totality of this and realize that it's BS being slung around by Democrats and the House, the White House, and the administration, the IRS had all these emails and said, well, nobody ever asked us for them.
Yeah.
Well, no, nobody. Well, it was all over the country. Everyone knew you were looking for these emails. Typical government employee, but nobody asked me
right.
specific. There were subpoenas out. We were looking for it. I work between Monday and Friday, 9 to 5. The procedure is if you come into my office, you pull a number. I answer the number, and then you form requisition 125-224-672 and 325. You send that to me. I have 3.5 weeks of processing. Do you know the emails are there? Well, yeah. Why did I have the friggin' emails? You have to fill out form 223-562. Oh, that's why.
Right. I just went through this. What part were you not paying attention to?
And it's the same thing with Hillary.
Well, you didn't ask.
Exactly. And now Hillary, this is all for politics. She didn't use the government email. Why wasn't she forced to?
Who's going to force her to do that?
The president.
Oh, but what if he doesn't know?
It's her boss.
But what if he doesn't know? He doesn't know a lot of things.
Well, maybe he could have turned on the news and found out about it. I don't know. He must have emailed her. At some point, the president must have emailed Hillary and said, why don't you have a .gov, sexstate.gov email? Oh, no, I like to use the clintonemail.com. Oh, they took my BlackBerry away, how did she get away with this? It was allowed to. It was complicit. And they know that the government will have a harder time getting her emails
from a personal
provider,
from a private provider. Absolutely.
And the ability, and look at it, as we learned with the IRS, there were so many different backups that you can't make it crash and go away. Who says that this isn't one server that doesn't have a magical fire in the next couple of weeks? Folks, I am.
Why would it be a magical fire? Like, what would make
like
it magical?
Leprechauns dancing around
it. Like it puts itself out and reignites itself, or
like one of those birthday candles.
Right. The fire department's there. We're like, hey, did you bring the magical foam? Because this is one of those magical fires. Like, water's not working, regular foam's not working. We need the magical foam.
Oh, man. But seriously, she knew that there were things in her email that would hurt her in the future.
Of course she did.
So she did it in a way that she has more ability to hide it.
Of course she did.
And again, this president, we can go back to a lot. You can look at all the different angles you want, but if he didn't know, he once again is not leading the administration that he has no idea what the hell is going on in his administration. Once again. Is he stupid? Is he incapable? Or is he complicit? At some point, it has to be something. He can't just keep not knowing crap is going on. Like the Secretary of State doesn't have a federal government email.
She had one assigned to her. But how would
I've had jobs where I've had to use...
Okay, but why would the president even think that she wouldn't use that email? Why would that even be a thought? If I had a job like that, it wouldn't even be... Now, it probably would be. But it wouldn't be a thought in my mind that somebody would not use, particularly somebody higher up who should know better, that they would not use that email primarily. Right? Okay. So yeah, maybe you're using a private email for sensitive things that you don't want discovered, which is still wrong. But why would anybody think that she wasn't using it at all? Period. Like, I wouldn't think that somebody in that position wouldn't use that at all.
Right.
So I can see why people are like, wow, are you kidding me? You serious? Like, even old Barry would be, you never use that? Hill?
See, but I disagree.
Can I call her Hill?
I
call
don't.
you Hill?
Hey, Billary, I disagree, and here's why. If he's sending an information that has classified documents attached or very, very sensitive...
But if it's harmful... Maybe he does want to send it to her personal email. My only point is,
no.
Why would he even think that was all she was using?
Right.
It's possible that he knows she's using that, but that she also maintained a .gov address.
No, because I think when he has to send her something that's kind of, for her eyes only, classified...
Like a picture?
Whatever.
Snapchat?
An internal email of something that's extremely sensitive... I am sure you would get a warning. I get a warning if I email certain things outside of my work email. I am sure he would get a warning that say, the recipient you're sending this to is not using a government email that's secured through encryption data ABCD123. The document you filed, you marked sensitive. Are you sure you want to send this? Now, does he keep saying, yeah, sure? Yeah, I don't give a damn. Or... does he know? He had to have known.
Or does he not email her?
He emails.
How do you know he doesn't email her?
Because he lived on his BlackBerry all through it. He emails and texts all the time. He's an electronic president. He's really the first...
No, he's not. He's a real president.
Domo arigato, Mr.
No.
Sorry. I can't help myself. I just can't help it. But you have to... you can't tell me that it's not known. I think it's a lie. I think that she was intentionally not using her government email. And I think that we will see, just like we saw with Lerner, that there's going to be things in her email that will be damning. The question is, will they be able to get to it in time? That's the big question. As far as Lois Lerner, nothing has happened to her yet. But I think with all this stuff that's starting to come out, they're going to have to do something because they're just going to look complicit. And at the end of the day, they're trying to at least keep the White House in 2016 and gain Congress going into it. I don't think they're that stupid to not... Hey, listen, they'll hang anyone. Look at what they did at Petraeus. Lois Lerner's a nobody to them. They will hang her in a second if they can.
We're up against a break. When we come back, I want to get a little bit more into the House Select Committee actually issuing a subpoena for Ms. Clinton's emails.
Ooh.
When we come back.
In a world controlled by corrupt politicians,
You got a business. You didn't build that.
a team of ordinary men emerge from the ashes to give voice to the voiceless and hope to the hopeless. Sackhead Sean,
Dude, I'm not saying coffee was stupid, bro.
Sackhead Clint,
All good friends of ours usually show up drunk.
also starring Sacco as has the producer.
I'm a little bit drunk, 'cause I'm drinking, drinking, drinking.
They are the Sackheads Radio Show. Every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Pacific on shrmedia.com.
This is Tammy Jackson, inviting you to join me on the Tammy Jackson Show every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Pacific on the 405radio.com. Put down that remote and tune into the show that covers politics, guns and the Second Amendment, religious liberties, sanctity of life, the military, and more. I host newsworthy guests and work hard to be a conservative radio show that's not like all the others. So save Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Pacific for me, Tammy Jackson, on the 405media.com.
Who listens to the Andrea Kaye Show? Let's find out as we eavesdrop on listener Roger Johnson in Encinitas.
You know, if our policy is going to be bring any child who comes across the border and says coordination, we have to take them in.
Okay, so apparently Roger fell asleep in the middle of my brilliant political tirade, and now he plans to sue me because I put him on the air, sleeping. Obviously, he's a liberal.
Snoring, not an option while listening to the Andrea Kaye Show, Tuesday mornings at 11 on Financial News and Talk.
You know I'm right. Y'all know I'm right.
Hello, I'm Matt, a student at Hillsdale College. Here's Hillsdale President Larry Arnn on the continuing relevance of the Constitution.
Many argue today that the Constitution is outdated because it addresses problems peculiar to the 18th century. Some parts of the Constitution do read rather quaintly. Consider the injunction against titles of nobility in Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution. But is that so outdated? The purpose of the injunction is to prevent the government granting special privileges to some for partisan reasons. This strikes at the heart of the rule of law. The crony capitalism so common today is a place where the government bestows favors and tax dollars on some businesses to give them a leg up over others. This is exactly the kind of thing the Constitution was meant to prohibit. The Constitution is not so outdated after all.
This Constitution Minute was brought to you by Hillsdale College. To join the national conversation on the Constitution, go to constitutionminute.com.
But then I tried it, and it was terrible.
I thought you said it was delicious.
I was talking about this green apple.
Yeah, but the other one is the one you wanted to get for me.
Yeah, the lemon cucumber.
Which was horrible.
Right.
And I don't know why you would even do that.
Well, because I'm a jerk.
Well, yes, but we've established that.
Okay,
Fortunately,
good.
none of our listeners know that you're just a complete ass. Like a total ass clown.
I'm really a jerk.
Yeah. And when we come back from break, I'm just going to go ahead and we're going to continue to be nice. Because if people really knew what a huge ass clown you were, they probably wouldn't listen anymore.
Hey, just shut up and do your job.
Hey, listen, I don't know who you think you're talking to right now, but I can give you 4-bladed fingers right back.
Give you 8. Wait.
You've never given 8 in your life. But before...
Not even close.
Hey, Sacco, just let me know when we're back. We don't want people hearing us argue.
Yeah, this is just, it's really unbecoming of us as professionals.
It's a little ridiculous.
In the biz.
Yeah. You're going
twice
to
tonight I said
to
it.
show up, and nobody's going to have any idea who we are, and I'm not going to show up, and then we're not going to have anything to talk about. It's going to be you and Sacco just staring at each other. And then Sacco's not going to show up, and it's going to be just like we do a regular show.
Sacco will show up, and it'll just be 11 seconds for the show.
Hey, right. Be on time.
Yeah. Technically on time. That's right.
This is true. We out of the commercial break yet?
And we're back.
Hey, welcome back into the Sackheads Radio Show. It's so great to be in the room with you guys. Love you so much.
Love you guys so much. You know, you offered to get me a Gatorade before
right,
the
and
show.
I made sure I knew exactly
what you
wanted.
Exactly what I wanted, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, no, hey.
And all you do.
Hey, you as well. It's good to be on the team.
It is great. Team. There is no I in team.
No,
there is in
that's awesome.
win.
There's definitely a me. There's no I in team, but there's definitely a me.
It's all you.
All me all the time.
I knew somebody like that once. I'm divorcing her. Anyways, so what? That was great. So Trey County, the House Select Committee on Benghazi, actually, they issued subpoenas to internet companies and letters. Sorry. Are you okay?
No.
And letters informing them of their, quote, legal obligation to protect all relevant documents. So they're actually going after these emails now that were on this private Clinton email. You're still laughing.
I am.
That was pretty good, huh? Just throwing it out there.
Jackpot.
So the White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest actually was questioned about this, and he's taken a hit 2 days in a row, which I think is great.
Awesome.
That douchebag needs to be hit as often as possible with tough questions, or a chair. Not that I'm advocating a chair in case somebody actually does that, because violence is wrong, but it might be funny. But he says, quote, "It's clear that
Take a shoe.
Secretary Clinton's team has gone to great lengths to collect and turn over emails." And he also went on to say that her actions seemed consistent with the Federal Records Act.
That seems consistent.
That's like somebody looking and saying, "Yeah, that seems legitimate."
Seems legit,
right? Like free hugs with an arrow pointed outside of an abandoned warehouse.
Well, the guy in there most likely just wants to give out a free hug.
It's a free hug-ish with ropes.
Oh, man.
So I just kind of wanted to piggyback on what we talked about that last segment, and say, hey, they're actually issuing subpoenas for this stuff, and they sent that letter to preserve the documents. I'm wondering what happens if one of the companies actually fails to preserve after Congress sends them a letter.
Nothing.
Not that I would want to test that with Trey Gowdy.
Well, and that's the thing. I think Trey puts enough fear of people that he will do the right thing. And listen.
You mean that these companies will do the right thing?
Well, that he will follow through if they don't. And he needs to show that. And I have a lot of respect for Trey Gowdy. But one of the things that we've been caught in is a lot of this stuff's been going for 3 years, and there's been no sound conclusion. And that's something, especially with Benghazi. Listen, they haven't even talked to the people that were there yet. They haven't been allowed to talk to them yet. I think that's somewhere where they need to push. The emails need to be pushed. They need to subpoena Susan Rice back. They need to subpoena Hillary back. They need to subpoena a lot of people back. Chris Peranto and all the guys from 13 Hours, subpoena them. They went public with their story.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people that he needs to start. And what's going to happen is if he doesn't get anywhere with it, if he doesn't have follow through, it's going to kill his credibility. I'm sure that's part of the reason why the left and the administration stonewalling him every chance they get. On top of the fact they don't want to have the real information come out, but I think that they also know that if they can make him look bad, they destroy the ones they fear the most. He hasn't given them anything to attack on,
right?
So they'll just make him look like a bumbling fool if they can.
Well, here's the other part of this. These Clinton emails, she had her own private email server. Now, I don't know what that is. But it sounds.
It's a guy that
sounds
prints out
pretty
emails
cool.
and brings it to her on a silver platter.
Okay, that makes sense. So an email server. Okay, because I thought it was maybe somewhere where she could maintain all her own electronic emails. Independent of anybody else.
No,
but what you said actually makes more sense.
He prints it out, puts it on a silver platter, and walks it over to her. It's an email server.
So it's a Sacco.
It's kind of like Sacco.
It's a Sacco. Now,
I love how we didn't even argue that one.
Is that going to be more problematic?
Yes.
For them to actually get these emails?
Yes.
And if she has control...
And it's hers, and she doesn't have to do anything with it she doesn't want to.
Can she delete it, wipe it?
Of course she can.
Make it rest.
Of course she can. Make it go away. Of course she can.
The Clintons do that sometimes.
Oh, yeah. Look at what the 32 bodies we're up to. I'm just saying.
No. I'm not saying they're involved. I'm just...
No, I read an article.
Did you? Oh, that's right.
Tammy wrote an article.
Yep, Tammy wrote a great article.
So, listen, I hope that something comes about. And I really hope that all these committees start coming together and actually getting to a conclusion.
I hope they just hammer her and get to the truth.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
See the CPAC straw poll?
I did. Rand Paul wins.
25.7%.
Yeah.
Scott Walker was second with 21.4. Ted Cruz, number 3, with 11.5. Ben Carson for 11.4, although I don't know if that number will hold.
Yeah.
Jeb Bush with 8.3. Everybody else got under 5%. I like that. I think Rand Paul won last year also.
Yeah.
I think he would be an excellent presidential candidate. What do you think about Ben Carson? Didn't he put his foot?
Yeah, he put his foot in his mouth. Essentially,
fortunately, he's a doctor, so he could remove it.
He can remove it.
Also.
He did what a lot of conservatives do. He got caught in the gay quagmire.
Gay quagmire.
There's nowhere else to say it. Every single time,
like the happy quagmire.
Every single time a conservative candidate starts to run for office, and they don't have a good response for the homosexuality question, you know it's going to come up. You know they're going to pin it on you, and they're going to get you in a stance.
What's difficult about that question?
Exactly.
Honestly.
Exactly.
What's difficult about that question?
Because it
is not the federal government's job to regulate personal choices.
Right. Well, this one is
this
this one essentially said as whether or not homosexuality is a choice versus being born that way, and he said it was a choice. There are guys that go into prison who become homosexuals in prison for whatever reason. I guess, and that it is a choice, and then walked it back. He walked it back.
Why would you walk that back? That's the truth.
He walked it back on Facebook. But the argument was...
Let's look at his answer. Do people make a choice to engage in homosexual relationships?
Any relationship.
Not are people born with homosexual tendencies or thoughts or predisposition? Because that's a different argument. But is it a choice? Is it a choice to be a heterosexual? Before a heterosexual male, not you, but like Sacco... No, not like Sacco. If a heterosexual male... before engaging in sexual intercourse, there is a choice that is made, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And before somebody engages in a homosexual sexual activity, there is also a choice, correct?
Yes.
You are choosing to engage in sexual behavior, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual,
right.
Correct?
And there are those that choose to engage in none.
Right. So if there is a question of are people born or are they predisposed to having homosexual tendencies or relationships, that may be a different question.
Right. And that's kind of where that question went.
But on the straight up question of is homosexuality a choice, I think he could make a straight-faced argument, no pun intended, a straight-faced argument that yes, there are choices that are made when it comes to what type of sex you have.
Right. And you know, we've said it on this show, and I know a lot of our hard-right friends will disagree to a point, but it shouldn't matter what two adult people do in their house behind closed doors without any involvement of other people.
It is not, as long as they're not infringing upon the personal liberties of anybody else, it is not the government's job to regulate that.
Right.
If they're out there in the middle of the street doing that, but I wouldn't want anybody out in the
I don't
middle
care
of the
who
street
it is. I say that all the
sex
time
in front of my kids or anything else like that either.
I say it all the time.
So,
don't force me to have any conversation
exactly.
with my kids I don't want to have.
Exactly. What two consenting adults do behind closed doors, we've said that before, is their business.
And
if you want to take a religious standpoint of it, look, that is their relationship with God that they have to come to terms with.
Yep.
And I had this discussion with somebody the other day. Look, it's sin is sin, right? We are not perfect people.
No, I'm Catholic. Everything I do is a sin.
Exactly.
It's just I wake up and I'm sinning.
We are all sinners.
Yeah.
And is one sin worse than another? So if somebody's sin, if that's your point of view, is engaging in a homosexual relationship, and what's your sin?
Right.
Is it coveting thy neighbor's wife? Is it watching pornography? Is it what is it? Because it's something you're doing.
Right.
So why is your sin any better than that? It's immoral, period, correct?
Exactly.
And so I kind of take that also, and that it got a little bit of pushback, and then it was yeah, I guess actually you're right.
Right. And what about only God will judge? And at the end of the day,
or at the end of your life.
At the end of your life. And if you don't believe in the higher power, if you're an atheist, then we go back to whatever you do in your own home's your business. As long as nobody else is hurt and everyone's willingly involved, who cares?
Exactly. And it's the same. I think it's the same argument for the religious also, right?
Yep.
Unless that homosexual couple now can judge you for whatever sin or transgression or whatever it is you're doing.
Right.
Because
Why is it
we're
any
all
less
flawed.
or more? Whoa,
Every
yeah.
single one of us are flawed.
Yeah, look at my hairline.
And, well, then that's kind of what I was referring to. I was staring right at that when I said that we're all flawed. I wasn't referring to me with the hairline.
Right.
I was referring to my big nose. But, and Sacco's hair.
Where does it end? Where does it begin? Nobody seems to know.
Captain Caveman.
Starts at his forehead and ends at his toes. No, but you're 100% right. And listen, this is something that I think Republicans have to get over, and conservatives. Listen,
yeah, like why did Ben? Like how?
We are the
why
party,
do you answer that and then walk it back?
We are the party of individual liberty. That's something that we push all the time.
We are.
Well, conservatives in general.
The Republican party has been hijacked, particularly in California.
But I think in general, conservatives believe in individual liberty. Part of that individual liberty is being able
What's
to have
re-liberty?
Re-liberty is when you lose it and get it back.
Kind of like we've lost our liberty, so we're trying to get it back. Now. So we're in the re-liberty movement.
But part of that liberty is allowing people to engage in whatever they want with other people willingly. I mean, I don't think that we should be any way, shape, or form judgmental on that. I really don't. I don't.
You don't have to agree with it,
right? You don't have to like it,
or agree with it, or
anything like that,
right?
But on the same token, I don't think the left, media, or anyone else should be slamming people who have their beliefs, that either religious or otherwise,
right,
about homosexuality or anything for that matter. And that's something that the Republicans just can't get through their head.
We have to be tolerant of their garbage, but they don't have to be tolerant of ours, right?
Right. This is the Democrat hand grenade.
Tolerance goes one way.
It's the Democrat hand grenade. They do this all the time.
It is.
Oh, this person's getting popular. Let's get him.
Yep.
Boom, M249. See that guy? Screw him and everyone around him. That's pretty much what they do, and they throw this one out. This is the first one. Climate change is coming.
Yep.
That'll be the next
not.
one.
It's here.
Well,
it's here.
But whether or not they believe in it
or not
will be the next thing.
That's good.
And this is, and instead of Republicans going, hey, you know what, individual liberty, what people do, and just end it. There's no argument.
I want
to
see a Republican answer climate change with, climate change happens all the time. Look
it's going to rain tomorrow.
Right, climate's changing. Right, it's like 3 degrees.
Hey, remember the ice change
we
was supposed to go? The ice age we were supposed to go through in the 70s that didn't happen.
Right.
Yeah. all the scientists.
Change?
Yeah.
Of course, the climate changes.
Yeah. It was warm yesterday, cool tomorrow.
What's causing it? I don't know. Is it because we have a 24-hour clock that's not precise because we don't rotate precisely how, or the tilt of the Earth and I can't tell you.
Are we constantly going back a little bit in our seasons and moving a little bit in our seasons because of the rotation? It's actually science. You should check it out. We move around the sun. It's very specific.
Not a perfect circle.
It's not a perfect circle. The Earth rotates.
We're on an axis that's kind of weird.
We are on an imperfect
tilt.
timing system that never changes or adjusts, which is why we still do daylight saving times, which is an archaic act in my belief. I think daylight saving time is ridiculous.
Yeah, thanks, Ben Franklin.
Yeah, Ben. It made sense at the time.
Oh, it did.
But now...
Why? Why did it make sense then, but not now?
Because now...
Kind of like the Constitution.
No.
See, you're a progressive.
Now we have headlights on our farming vehicles. That was the biggest push for daylight savings time. That was the big one. But at the time, it absolutely made sense. So, yeah...
I'm not supposed to be driving anyways. Well, how are you going to
because
with the
farmers
headlights?
had to you had to have enough daylight for the farmers to be able to work their fields.
Wake up early. Why do we have to change?
No, but if it's dark, you can't see. You got to remember before there's electricity, Sacco.
Oh, so they didn't have fire.
No, what I was saying is, if the sun's going on at 7 p.m. and then now it's
I understand what you're saying, but in order for them to be able to operate business and stuff like that, everybody, non-farmers and everything, they all had to kind of be on the same page.
Okay.
Schools, etc.
If the businesses are working,
you know what? Then why do we have time zones? Let's take this as far as we need to go. We need to do away with all time zones.
Let's do it. The time zones, man. The time zones are brought to us by the man to hold us in a certain time restraint.
Exactly.
I want it to be whatever time I want it to be right now.
Right, and how can it be a different day here than it is in New Zealand? That's ridiculous. It's not a different day. We're one Earth.
It's science.
We're one people.
We're one people. There we go.
How can we be one people in 2 different years or 2 different dates?
And that way, when I call somebody drunk at 3 a.m. here,
right,
and it's tomorrow there, they can't say anything because I'll be like, dude, it's 3 a.m.
Right.
Or, even better, what time is it there? 9:45 p.m. Perfect. I called you just before bedtime. Yeah, but it's 3 a.m. your time. No, I'm on your time.
That's right. We
are one.
Are not having time zones anymore. just
Speaking of which, spring ahead this weekend. Don't forget to do that. The time changes again.
That means I lose an hour's sleep.
Yeah, it's horrible.
That's the worst.
I managed to get that day off.
Oh, no, you're going to be working at the studio. Bright and early, pal.
Yeah, you didn't tell me.
0600. You didn't put in a time off request.
I quit.
You
can't quit. You're a partner.
I disband.
Nope, we refuse.
Nope.
We do not
It's
accept
in our bylaws.
A couple other quick wrap-ups here. DOJ came out with the decision not to prosecute police officer Darren Wilson.
Yeah, but then
shooting
in the same report, they decided to slam the organization as a bunch of racist thugs,
Right.
essentially.
So essentially they said that specific case, no racism was involved. But in general,
They're a bunch of
Ferguson is a bunch of racists. So vis-a-vis, Darren Wilson was a giant racist too. It was an appeasement decision. They wanted to make the people of Ferguson feel justified in what they believed, even though it was BS. And now all of a sudden, the Ferguson PD is going to have to fight against a false judgment, racing against a ghost, if you will, to gain their credibility back, all because of one incident where no crime was committed.
But they're a bunch of racists.
But they're a bunch of racists.
Right. See, Ash Carter, the new Secretary of Defense, basically said that 3-year
Time
timeline,
zones are racist.
that 3-year timeline that the Obama administration's putting out for using military force, he said it's political. And he said, quote, I wouldn't assure anyone this will be over in 3 years, or that the campaign will be completed in 3 years. So, new guy already kind of showing a little bit of independence here.
Yeah, and pushing back. And listen, anyone who thinks that this is going to be over in 3 years is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
Also, the head of the Zeta drug cartel has been captured in Mexico, allegedly. Not that it'll change much, but it was a big one for them. Omar Trevino Morales was taken into custody by federal forces.
U.S. federal?
No, Mexican federal.
Really?
Yeah, and lastly...
they took him alive?
They did take him alive.
Wow.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked by that as well. We're having some movement in the Tsarnaev trial in Boston for the Boston Marathon bombings. And, the defense essentially is setting him up to be a patsy, that his older brother was the person that kind of strong-armed him into it, and he didn't know what he was doing, which is why they were trying to suppress the scrolls that he wrote in blood inside the boat and have that not be entered, because that would show that he was actually a true believer in the cause, and they don't want that to screw it up.
Right.
If convicted again, he could get the death penalty, so I think those scrolls are important. And listen, I mean, what he was saying in those blood scrolls, essentially it was a typical jihadist rant: death to America, Allah is great, God is great, blah, 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 blah. It was a very jihadist writing, and it was written in his own blood when he thought he was going to die. So, I think they admitted that he was involved. They're not arguing that he was involved, but they're trying to set him up as a patsy and weak-minded. And I think that's going to be the most damning evidence. Mark my words, that will be the most damning evidence as far as the mindset as to him being involved in what he did.
Speaking of Mark Lippert, the ambassador to South Korea, was attacked with a knife today as he was getting ready to attend a lecture. He was taken to the hospital, had surgery apparently, and is going to be okay. The knife wielder, the attacker, said that South and North Korea should be reunified prior to the attack happening. President Obama called him, so that was nice.
Oh,
not the attacker, the ambassador.
Oh, it's nice to know some ambassador gets attention when they're under attack. And also, North Korea fired 2 missiles. They're mad about the upcoming war games, if you will, between the 2,000 American soldiers and the South Koreans. Kim Jong-un earlier this week told his army to prepare for war, to which they responded, that'd be great. Can we have some rice? Listen, pal, you give me a lunch and I'll go to war at this point.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, it's just little Kim just putting around and doing his little... There's a great...
War games. Do they like play Battleship?
Yeah.
Risk. And War with Cards.
Stratego.
Axis and Allies.
Ooh, good one as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Like, what kind of war games are we talking here?
There's a great meme out there online right now that it's Kim Jong-il on field trips, and all the pictures he has where he's inspecting and doing stuff, it's written as it's him writing his field trip memoirs. And I was allowed to go to the bread plant today. They showed us how to make great amounts of bread. I was allowed to have a piece of bread. It was, if you find it online, it's absolutely hysterical and worth your read.
Oh, that's outstanding.
Oh, man.
It's been one of those days.
It has been one of those days, been one of those weeks. Hopefully... Oh, hello. I'm getting a request on the chat room to do the voice. Oh, today we go to bread store.
Oh.
Not now, Hans Blix. I'm busy. Such
Why
a
do
great
you people
movie.
do that? Why do you encourage him?
That was such a great movie, though. Team America, World Police. Oh, never mind the fact that he's literally morphing into his father in front of our very eyes. It's kind of creepy on some level.
Yeah. Is that surgically done?
I don't know. It's certainly not that septipod haircut that he had, whatever the hell that is.
I got an article for you that you'll be happy about.
Yes, sir.
McDonald's is going to stop using human antibiotics in chicken.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
Listen, I've said this before and I'll say it again. As long as their nuggets come from that pink goo, I'm happy because they taste amazing.
They do, right?
I don't care.
No, it's some right after the show.
No, that was pink slime. That's their burgers.
Yeah.
The pink slime is their burgers.
There's something else with their nuggets, too.
That's just like really bad deep fried and like the leftover green.
No,
like
they
diesel
just
fuel or something,
they
right?
put whatever they put in it, they turn into a mush, and then they form it again. I don't care. It tastes delicious. Absolutely delicious.
You're going to make me want to go get some...
Let's get some nuggets
afterwards.
I'm a capitalist.
I'm down.
All right, Sacco's down for nuggets. It's a post-nugget show.
Actually, Sacco's
post-show nugget?
Post-show nugget?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, it's a pre-nugget post-show.
P-post.
P-post?
P-post.
I have one of those. It goes in the backyard.
Yeah.
And sometimes I just kind of go out there.
Has leaves on it.
Right, because guys really enjoy peeing outside. Am I wrong?
No, I'm going to hit the P-post soon.
I'm
anyhow.
not wrong. Exactly.
All this green apple Gatorade.
My friend, it's been a pleasure.
It has been a pleasure. I really appreciate it. Hopefully next week this cold will go away.
Yeah, mine
we
too.
cannot wait to see
I'm ready
you
to go to
folks in
sleep.
Freedom Fest in July 2015 in Vegas. Make sure you join us. Sacco, thank you for actually showing up tonight.
Hondo roll was amazing.
The Hondo roll through the front door, dude. You need to do that
Amazing.
every single week. It was pretty amazing. Check us out on Twitter. At Sackhead Clint, if you want to follow Clint. At Sackheads for the main show. And Sacco Taco 1, if you want to follow Sacco because he doesn't put anything on it.
Let's go get some nuggets.
Facebook.com/Sackheads Radio. Hi, bro.
No, it's goodbye.
Goodbye. We'll see you next Wednesday, 8 p.m. here on the Sackheads Radio Show.
The best late-night conservative talk show in America. In America.
And in this web was a large, I'm pretty sure it was the biggest spider I've ever seen.